That's the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They are a completely new team. And that probably the biggest task for them right off the bat is getting the key parts to play together early and have good cohesion. When you look at this predicted starting five, you have four transfers on there, with the exception of Kevin O'Connor, who is arguably probably going to be the best player on this team, averages about 10 points a game, 5.5 rebounds. But then you look at a guy like Fardaz Am Amquat. I'm going to mess that up.
I believe it's M week. I believe is how it's pronounced. But
Amweek, Fardaz Amweek, who obviously coming over from UVSU, 19 points a game, 13.6 rebounds a game. This guy can really shine, 6'11". They obviously have a great backcourt. What is the thoughts of this team? We have them as a first four right now. They are ranked in the preseason top 25. What are your thoughts of the Red Raiders? Can they get it all together? Can they push it all together? Can they make it happen?
well, this is the second consecutive year that Mark Adams has had to face these questions. I think Texas Tech acquitted themselves very, very well last year. In fact, I was going to wear my Texas Tech shirt for this part of this podcast, but I didn't want to take away from my Mountaineers. So I
Ah,
so so I kept. I'm like shrinking down so you can't see the logo on this shirt. He did it once. The team did it once. They came together as a team last year with all the doubts of all the transfers out and all the graduations. I see no reason why they're going to lose a step again this year. The fact that Kansas and Baylor are ahead of them does not detract from the talent that's on this Texas Tech roster. I'm weak. This is not the MAC. The Big 12 is not the WAC. So I think there can be some doubts there, but you can't hear that many positive scouting reports from people that watch and break down or and more versed than you and I are about the ins and outs and the footwork and the paint and things like that. We're college basketball fans. We more focus on, boy, what a fun team this is to watch or what this could happen. We're not into the techniques and all of that. But
yeah.
universally, they said this guy was obviously a man among boys in a really an iffy conference in the WAC. No offense, WAC fans, but it's not like you have even one terrific team in the WAC over the last couple of years. So if he shown and dominated to that point, he didn't even play a lot of minutes because he didn't have to. He was just so dominant.
Right.
I mean, you have to be excited for that. But I don't think we're really going to know what Texas Tech is really until league play begins, because this team is going to need November and December to come together and find out. They have to be able to trust their teammates. And when you have this kind of turnover, we've kind of glossed it over a lot, in our previews so far. But when you're having the kind of turnover that Texas Tech is facing, you have to have trust on the basketball court. Now, I
Mhm.
mean, I loved playing basketball, and I'm very short, but I was like tiny, when I was like a teenager and a youngster. People didn't have a lot of faith in me. Okay, when you're sitting at 5'3" and really couldn't dribble or shoot very well, so your teammates, you can just sense, oh God, he's open. I know we got to get him the ball, but this is a bad idea. And that extends it through every level, even in the playground. It's like, oh, I know we really should pass to this guy at least once, but you really don't want to. Every team is going to experience that to some degree here. I think they're with M week. I think they're going to challenge him. And if we mispronounced your name, Guy, I apologize. But I
Yeah.
believe that's the pronunciation that I have heard most often in other podcasts, and odds are all the other podcasters are mispronouncing it as well. And we'll eventually find out how it's supposed to be produced. So so maybe I mean they're going to try to bully him,
Hmm.
and their schedule is going to allow them to a certain degree to make those adjustments. So once conference play begins, I think we'll see Texas Tech show its mettle. but don't get down early on them and say, "Oh, see, there's too much turnover." Mark Adams knows what he's doing. He's an underrated coach. He's been through this war already. He's going to probably continue to be through this war and have to depend on the transfer portal from smaller schools and the junior college route. That's how Texas Tech is going to build a system because they're not Kansas and they're not Baylor. They have to go that route in order to build a roster. And I think Mark Adams is the ideal guy that can make adjustments on the fly and get the most of his team.
I'm with you. Yeah, speaking of, you probably won't see exactly what Texas Tech looks like till they hit conference play. They really don't have any huge games with the exception of being in the Maui Invitational at the end of November when they do face off against Creighton. That's obviously a big game. That'll probably be the biggest test we see until they take on and they start conference play towards the end of the year and beginning of 23. The rest of the games are games that they can obviously take care of.